Hello everybody, this is Joseph Pro Patty, and this is going to be my second video in the series for my game, the 19th hole. This video is going to cover my putting from 30 feet or less. There's 3 videos in the series. The first one covers the teeing off and then fairway, club shots, getting to the green. And then the second and third video will cover putting for 30 feet or less or 12 feet or less. So this one's going to focus on the 30 feet or less. So what I want to do is in this video, I'm going to cover all the experience levels from beginner, intermediate, experienced, and professional. And I want to show you all the mechanics. It may seem difficult and fiddly, but it's very simple. You just have to remember there are basically 2 stages in doing this. But right now, let's just cover the components that you need. This is what you need to set up for 30 feet or less, okay? So we have our dice, right? We always have 9 dice. There's 3 blue, 3 green, and 3 red, and I use 12 millimeter because they fit the cards a little bit easier, okay? Then we have cube, could be 8 or 10 millimeter. You can use any color, but that will be used to mark down the experience level. Then over here, we have 3 cubes. I use red, blue, and green because they match up with distance, slope, and angle of approach. Same colors, right? And they will be consistent with the 3 different groups for that putt. And then we have our reference sheet. Make sure it says putting from 30 feet or less. That's what this video is going to cover. There are 3 reference sheets. There's 2 for putting and then 1 for shots, okay? Then we have our cards. So you'll see that I have a piece of acrylic right here. The reason I use that is because I cover up these cards that don't move, and it makes it easier for me to slide these on top. Little 1/8 inch piece of acrylic, lay it down. You can put your green card. This is a green for 30 foot, just make sure it says 30, right? Because the other one says 12 for the max. And then you need your putt preparation card. Go ahead and put that under that, and then your last 3 cards are going to be the aim card, which you use all the time. Each player has one. You won't be using any of this information. It's just going to be this edge to keep track of the distance, okay? And then the other 2 cards you need are your putter and your angle of approach. Make sure they say 30 feet or less because there's 2 other cards for 12 feet or less. Okay, so those are the cards. These are all the components you need. This is what will get you ready for putting 30 feet or less. Okay, so let's go to the next section. It will be starting out as a beginning player, and I will go through all the different levels for each putting stage. Okay? Thanks. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to start out with beginner level, and we're going to do all the different levels, and so it'll be 4 different types of putts going through each one of those levels. So again, whenever you're putting, it's very simple. It's just 2 stages. We roll the dice and we see where the ball is on the green. We use our parameters on the reference sheet. Once we know where the ball is, you roll a second time, and that's you trying to make the putt. And that's you manipulating the dice to get the angle of approach and then try and match the distance. That's it. It's 2 separate rolls. And I'm going to show you how each level has modifiers based on the level to go ahead and manipulate those dice. So we'll start at beginner level, and like in all other aspects of the game, you always use 6 dice. 2 red, 2 blue, 2 green. This always makes up the initial part of your shot. Whether you're teeing off or setting up the putt, you always use these 6 dice. So we're going to go ahead and roll these and put them right onto the putt preparation card. So we'll start blue, green, and red. Now one thing I wanted to let you know is I'm focusing on 30 feet or less. Now whenever you go to putting, let's say you chip onto the green and you're not sure where the ball is and you're trying to find out where, and you roll this dice. You might be a foot away, you might be 6 or 12 feet away, or you might be 18, 24, or 30 feet away based on this roll. Well, if I roll a 6 feet or 12 feet or 1 foot, I don't want that obviously because I want to show you how to do these longer putts, 30, 24, 8. So if I do get a low roll and it doesn't match those 3, I'm going to adjust it, which isn't a big deal. So here I have 7, so I take my red cube and boom, 30-foot putt. Okay, so that's good. Then we have an 8 for our slope of the green, and that is a 2. It's a downhill slope, which means it's a -2. Now this slope of the green modifier, I'll explain how that comes in later when you're dealing with your distances. But this modifier will get added or subtracted from your distance dice, okay? So we want to remember that. Then we have 11, which is a very hard draw from right to left. Now, where that comes in critical is if it's a right to left or left to right for your angle of approach. And I'll show you how that will affect how your putter gets shifted, okay? So right now we have our parameters. Like I said, it's just a roll. Take these values, put them right onto your reference sheet. Then you take these cards. First thing we do is, what's our distance? 30 feet. So you just put it right up here so the center goes right on that dot for 30 foot. And make sure you try and kind of keep that line. Then we take our putter and just butt it up right to the top, okay? Now, this is where we need our angle of approach. So our angle of approach is 5, okay? So that means we're going to be adjusting this putter because you're trying to read the green and you're trying to adjust to that angle of approach. So we know that our angle of approach is right to left. What you need to remember is that first word, right to left. That means I'm going to shift the putter to the right. If it was left to right, I will shift the putter to the left. So on this one, it's a right to left, so we shift it up to the right. And when you shift it, just make sure it's right on line with that putt to the hole, okay? And we take our angle of approach, just put it right next to that card, okay? And what's our angle of approach? 5. Just pick the putter up and lay it right on top of that red line that has a 5 on it, okay? Pull that out and you'll see you're offline because that's how you're eyeballing the green to make that adjustment. What you're going to do on your putt is try and adjust to that angle of approach and match it. Okay, so once we've laid our card out, this is where our ball is and this is how we've seen the green and how we need to adjust to it. Now we go to, as a beginning player has 5 dice they get to use, okay? 5 dice has to make up the angle of approach and the distance, okay? So we take our 5 dice, roll them, and it doesn't matter the color because all you really care about are the values, right? And what I like to do is I put lowest to highest, right? So now that we have our value, before we add or subtract our slope of the green modifier, we need to come up with our angle of approach. Now that's going to come out of this roll. So we come here at angle of approach, we have a 5. We need to get a 5, which means we were able to match angle of approach, and we lucked out. We got 1 dice that has a 5. Now if you didn't have a 5, you'd have to decide, let's say I didn't have the 5 and you had a 3 and a 6. Let's say it was 6, 3, 3. Well, you're going to try and use one of these, but you have to be aware whatever one you take has a drastic effect on what distance you have left as a value, okay? Because this amount is what's going to be making up the distance, how far you hit the putt. And there's other modifiers based on the level of experience, but right now we're going to use a 5, okay? And the way we adjust back is we take our angle of approach card, set it right back on where the 5 is, the red line, slide it back out, and you'll see you are right back on line. So you're on for that putt. Okay, so we're on line. We visually adjusted our shot to play that read on the green, and now all we have to do is get the distance. So if we can get 30 feet, we can sink this putt. But here's the hard part. As a beginner, you're not really sure. You're just not as experienced or skilled to know how hard to hit it, how soft to hit it. That's where it comes in, where the higher your experience, the more dice you get to manipulate those values. So the factors that you get to use for a beginner are how many doubles you have, right? A double lets you subtract a die, okay? So each double you have, the doubles, you get to subtract a die, okay, from the amount. Then the next one is you get to add or subtract a value of the die to or from the total. Okay, that's all a beginner gets to do right now. So any doubles he has, and the way to keep track of doubles, because you're going to manipulate these dice, just put a dice up here and say I have 1 double. So at least you know I have the ability to remove a dice. The next ability is I can add or subtract a value of the dice, these actual dice, to the total or from the total. Okay. Before we start manipulating these dice, we need to add or subtract our slope of the green modifier, which we have a -2. A minus always gets taken from the highest dice. A plus gets added to the lowest dice. So here we have a 6. We are going to subtract 2 from this and make it a 4. Okay. So we are looking really short on this. Okay, this beginner just kind of duffed it. So we've added our slope of the green modifier. This is what we got to work with. Now, when you have the ability to subtract a die when you have a double, that will usually be good when you go past the amount. Well, we have 30 feet. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these values, since we get one time to do this, and add it to this total. So we have a total of 7, 8, 9. Really? We have 4 that we can add to it. So basically we have 13 feet, right, that we can add to the total. That is now our max. We just did not read this one very well. So even though we're on line, we have 13 feet. And basically we go up here, right? We have our 30 right there. So we go up 13 feet. Oh, sorry, 30, 30, 26, right here. So it lifts us with 17 feet. We just didn't make it, so we know we're gonna have to putt again. Now, since we are not below the 12 feet or less, we still stay on here. But we don't have to worry about distance now because we know it. So we'll go one more time. Right, we're at 17 feet, okay? You can go ahead and roll, right, all 6 dice, but remember, the red aren't gonna affect you this time, so we'll go ahead and reset everything. We know that we have 17 feet. We wanna finish this putt up. Okay. So you can put the red down, it's okay though, because we have 17 feet. We'll put it here off to the 18. All right, so there's our marker. We'll put our glove on here. Now, if you had 12 feet or less, you would move down to the reference sheet for the 12 feet or less, and it would use different cards. Okay, but so since we're still above 12 feet, we're going to use this reference card. So red, we don't worry about. Green, we have a 5, right? So 5 is gradual uphill slope, which is +3. And then we have a 2 or a 3 for the blue, which means we have a hard draw from left to right. 5 angle approach. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and set up where the ball landed on the green. All right. Now, something to remember. Let's say you were way off on your initial angle of approach. If you were way up here, this is where you would start from. Okay. And you can always bring it back because you're always, once you're on this arc, you know where the distance is. You can always bring it back here to give yourself a straight line. But we're 17 feet, right? We have a left to right, remember? Left to right, so we use that first word, and this gets slid to the left, all right? Then we take an angle of approach, right here, and we have a 5, so we lay that on the 5. Right here, oh sorry, let's do a 17 angle approach, sorry, take the putter and put it right on top of the 5 line. You'll see that we're way off. Okay, so here's where we have our putt is set up, that's where the ball is laying. Now we want to make the putt. So we are using beginner again, so we have 5 dice, doesn't matter the color, all right? Go ahead and lay these out. We've got 2 1s, a 2, 5, and a 4. Okay, again, like last time, we still need to make that angle of approach. We have a 5. Oh, good, we have a 5, but it definitely affects what we have our remainder. So we take our angle of approach, bring this back out. At least we're right back on line. Okay, and we had a double. So we can remove, I'm not going to, but we need to get 17 feet. So we have 6, 7, 8. The most we can add to this is 4, right? But we have to add our slope of the green. So we have a +3, so we will add it to the lowest one, which gives us 4. That helps. All right. Now we've got 8, 9, 10, 11. And we take a 4, which adds to that. That makes 15. We're not going to subtract, so we'll go ahead. We have 12, 13, 14, 15. Can't add any more as a beginner, so bring it up, and you are still not there. So close. And you would do now 12 foot. You have 2 feet left. You go ahead and use the 12 feet or less at 2 foot putt. Okay, so that's the mechanics of getting down to where you're at. So let's go. Now we'll do a little quicker. We're going to do the other experience level. So we'll do intermediate. So what we'll do first, we get our 6 dice, all right? Reset everything, and this is now going to be intermediate. So roll this. There. And our green. Now again, if I don't get 18, 24, 30, I'll just shift the dice so we can get those. But in this case we have a 6, 7, which means 30 feet, okay? Then we have 4 for green, which is a moderate uphill slope, which is a +4, and then we have an 8, which is a slight push, which is a slight push from right to left. All right, so we'll go through this kind of quick. We have 30 feet. First thing we do is we set up our club at the distance of 30, and then just put this right here. We go to our angle of approach, which is 2, and it is a right to left. So remember the first word right, everything gets shifted to the right. We set up our angle of approach, and since the angle of approach is 2, we lay this on the line with the 2. Okay, pull that out. You'll see that you are off just a little bit, but you can't see the green or the pin, so we want to adjust that back. So we got the ball where we want it. 30-foot putt, angle of approach of 2, and our slope of the green is a +4. So as an intermediate player, we have 6 dice we get to use. Okay, doesn't matter the color. Go ahead and roll those. Put these out. Set them up low to high. So we have this. And again, we have our doubles. We have 2 2s and 2 5s. So we know that we have the ability to subtract. Okay. Now with this, with an intermediate player, we have, again, we can use subtraction for any doubles. Okay. We have 2 of them. And then we also get the ability to add or subtract your dice value 2 times. It'll be 2 times for intermediate, and then 3 times for experienced and professional. But so intermediate gets 2 chances to add and subtract. All right. So first thing we want to do is match this angle of approach, which is a 2. Well, we've got one. So we're going to go ahead and take that, and we adjust that right away. So easiest way to do it is you lay this angle of approach right back onto a 2, the red line, pull it back out, and you'll see we are right on line again. So now we just got to get the distance. This is a long putt, but it's for an intermediate, so we might make it. Now we have our distance dice. Okay, these are what we're going to manipulate, but we have to put in our modifier. We have a +4. Plus gets added to the lowest dice. Lowest dice is going to change to a 6. All right. Now, again, we have our 2 doubles that we can use. So let's go ahead and add this up. We've made our angle of approach. Here's our distance. We need to get to 30. So we have 12, 17, like that, 12, 17, and then we have 22, 26. Right, didn't make quite 30, but we can do some manipulation. And here's the nice thing about it. We have 26, because if we look at our 10, 15, 26, we just need 4 feet to make that. And the easiest thing to do is, since we can add or subtract a value, we've got a 4. We could take that 4 and add that value to this total. 26 makes 30. So boom. we now have 30 feet. So since we were on line, 30-foot putt, that intermediate player sank that in one putt. Nice putt. Okay? Intermediate player. So remember, as an intermediate player, you get to use doubles. Every doubles you have, you can subtract a dice. You also get the ability to add or subtract twice. Two times. And then when you have experienced player, you can do 2 times, and then you have the ability to add for your more than 1 dice. So here we have add, subtract, and I want to make sure it's clear. It should be the add and subtract for an intermediate is, again, sorry, 1 time. Okay? So let's clarify that. A beginner, you have the ability to add and remove a dice for doubles, and then add or subtract once. And then for intermediate player, you get an extra dice, plus you get to use doubles, plus you get to use 1 ability to add or subtract. Then when you get to experience, which we're going to do next, you'll have an extra dice. Then you have 2 chances to do add, subtract. And then professional will have all those things plus an extra ability of adding 1 or 2 dice to make the angle of approach. Okay? So let's go to experienced player. So we start with our 6 dice. Reset everything. All right, so we have red, our green, and our blue. All right, so here we have our totals. Let's go ahead and put these on there. So we have a 9, 8 feet, 18 feet, we're good. So we can stay on this. Then we have a 7, nice and flat, perfectly flat. Then we have 7 for our blue. Oh, this is a nice setup. So this experienced player really got a nice layout for the ball. So we have our parameters. Let's go ahead and put this onto the green. So first one, we have 18 feet. So we'll put that there, 18 feet. Then we'll take our parameters, which is straight line direct for angle of approach, which is 1. Now, remember, since it's a 1, it doesn't matter. You can shift left or right. You're just going to keep it right on line. So we have 18-foot putt, right on line already. We don't have any modifier to the slope of the green because it's a nice flat green. Ready to go. Now, experienced player. Beginner uses 5 dice. Intermediate players uses 6 dice. And experienced player uses 7 dice. Okay? So, experienced player, 7 dice. And then I'll tell you the modifiers. So let's go ahead and roll those. And what we always do is we always take the dice, lay them out, low to high. Okay. First thing you check is how many doubles do you have? I've got 2 5s, basically I have 1 double. Okay? So I have 1 ability to subtract dice, which might help because I got a lot of high numbers. Then I want to match this angle of approach. Great, I have a 1. Don't even have to adjust everything or anything, I'm still on line. Now we have this value. Okay, this is our distance makeup. We have a slope of the green at a 0, so I don't even add or subtract. So what do we do right now? Let's add this up. So we have 10, right? So we have 11, 16, we have 20, 25, 28. So 28. So I am 10 feet above what I need, right? And so what are the abilities I have as an experienced player? I have the ability to subtract a dice for each double, which means I have 1 double, so I can subtract 1 of these. I also have the ability to, as twice that I can add and subtract a value of the dice from this total, okay? So just doing some add and subtraction, if I have 28 and I need to get down to 18, if I have a 6 and a 4, I could subtract those values. So here's a 6. I will subtract that from this value, which is 28, which will bring me to 22, right? And then I have a 4. Remember, you can only subtract the values of the dice that you have in those original. I could take a 4 and subtract them from this main value, and that leaves me with 18. 18 make my putt. I was already on line, and I made that putt. Okay? If I had not made the putt, if I was at a 1, I'd go ahead and do a 1 putt, which would mean I 2 putted this. If it was 2 feet or more, then I'd go on to the 12 feet or less. So let's do our last one, which is professional. Okay, so put that in the P. We'll go ahead and reset everything. All right, again, we roll our 6 dice. Put our red and our green. This will be the last level of experience that we're going to play. So let's make sure we get in here. So we'll do, this time we'll do a 20 or a 24 foot. Okay, so we'll adjust that. So this will mean I'm at the 24 foot mark. A 9 for our slope of the green means I'm at gradual downhill slope, which is a -3. And then a 5 gives me a push from left to right, which is an angle of approach of 3. All right, got our parameters. Let's go ahead and set where the ball is. Angle of approach, 24 feet, right? Lay it right there. Take our putter card right up to the edge. All right. What do we look at our angle of approach? It's a left to right. So first word left, slide it to the left, right? Then we take our angle of approach card. Our angle of approach is 3. All right, so we set that here. Go ahead and put that, lay it on the 3. Okay. And now we've got our angle of approach. So the ball is set up for a professional putt. Now we want to try and make our putt. Okay, now remember, professional, very experienced, has the ability to read the green, to know how hard to hit the ball, to know what the slope is like, if it's a downhill or uphill. These are things that a professional is very good at. So a professional is going to get 8 dice to really manipulate to get this. Okay, so let's roll the dice. Put these out here. There's just so many more things that a professional can do since it has that ability. All right, so remember, low to high. Now here's the modifiers for a professional. Professional has, again, doubles. So each doubles, I got 1 double, 2 double, 3 doubles. So I have 3 chances that I can subtract a die. Then I have the ability to twice add or subtract the value of a dice from or to the total that I have left. And I have the ability to use 1 or 2 dice to match this angle of approach. So since I need an angle of approach 3, if I didn't have any 3s, I could take a 1 and a 2 dice and I'd be able to match that angle of approach. But in this case, I have a 3, so I will take that, right? And when we match our angle of approach, you just go ahead and set it right on the 3. Take this back, and you are right on line. So, professional, I read the green, now I just got to get the distance, and then I'm looking good. Now, professional, this is a 24-foot putt, very high odds that a professional is going to make this. And so what happens is, we have our distance, now we have to add our modifier. So we have a -3. So how does a minus go? It goes from the highest dice. Makes this a 3, right? Does not add another double, just changes the value of the distance. So we've got our modifier in there. Let's now get to 24 feet. So we'll add these up. So we've got 10 feet. So we got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I need 3 more feet, okay? Now this isn't going to be a problem because I have so many things I can do. I have the ability to add or subtract twice to get that. Well, since I have 21, I need 24. I'm just going to take a value of a 3 and add it to it. And now I make 24. I'm on line, 24. I'm right into the pin. Sunk it. Professional makes it 1 putt. Okay? Now it's never a guarantee just because you're a professional. If I hadn't been able to get that angle of approach, it wouldn't have mattered. I could have gotten the distance, but I'm going to be off left or right, and I'm going to miss the putt. But there's just so much more skill as a professional. You have so many more chances, the ability to manipulate that putt. That's why they have better odds of making the putt. So as you see, again, putting, it's not that hard. You just set it up in 2 phases. Roll to see where the ball is, adjust the angle of approach. Now you're ready to hit the putt. Roll again based on the experience level. The experience level tells you how many dice that you're going to roll, and then it's take a dice for the angle of approach, try and get as close as you can, and the rest of it, manipulate it to get the distance. And there you have it. That's putting. So this was the video for 30 feet or less. The third video will cover 12 feet or less, but it is the same exact process, except there are different parameters and less dice to use for the experience level, but the same mechanics. So you don't have to worry about how you set up and move the cards and do angle approach. It's all the same. Okay? So if you have any issues, or if you have something, you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Let me know if there's something that didn't make sense. Ask me the questions. I'll get back to you right away. But this is putting 30 feet or less for my game, the 19th hole. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy the game. Thanks for watching.